even though we had most of the possession, we didn't create enough because the tempo on the ball and probably the tempo in our legs weren't high enough. Maybe because we were in Italy during the week. It's never easy to get going again, also with the season how it is. So we had to step it up, and we did second half.
I think I'm patient. I think in football you've got to be. I mean, you don't always, there's times when you don't play as much, but what can you learn from when you're not playing? So yeah, I think that's what I've done.
The second goal's got a bit of luck on it. It was the deflection, what takes it past Jamal. The first goal in particular was, for me, against the run of play and didn't have to do much to score. So that's the disappointing things. That for me, it was never a penalty. So for an hour, I thought we were very, very good, but we have to defend better and get that balance right. We looked a threat going the other way, but I was very, very pleased for large parts of it, but getting a few results is all that matters.
We'll start with Manchester United on this. It was a bit of a battle for your former club, and there were 5 changes made from the performance during the week against Real Sociedad. One of the players that came into the team basically bossed that midfield for
him. He did. You know, I'm a massive fan of Scott McTominay, but Matic came in today, and I thought Matic was outstanding. You know, he started the moves. His weight of pass into his teammate is perfect. He was starting moves. He was ending moves with good crosses. He was picking cross-field balls for his teammate at the right time. He was getting back into good positions. I love the way he rattles it in. You know, when you pass the ball at pace, you pass the time on as well, so it gives your teammate the time to do what he's got to do. Little 5-yard passes were good. This one here into his forward as well is absolutely outstanding. Get it in there. Turn, get your shot off. Creating things again for your teammate. Looked over his shoulders, he can turn, he can go forward, he can split Newcastle's midfield.
They're not bobbled in, are they?
They're not. If you pass the ball at the right pace, at the right time, you can create something for your team. It slows down the opponent. They have to work harder to get to your teammate. I just think today, he was Man United's best player.
Because the assumption is if you play Matic or that you have a holding midfielder. Yeah. But as your clips show, there's more to him than that.
Yeah, listen, he's a good player. He's been a good player for a long time. You know, he hasn't had as many games because Scott McTominay's been so good. Let's get it right. But when he does come in, he always adds to the team. I like him as a player, and today I think he was Man United's best player.
Seems to be a lot of frustration amongst Manchester United fans at the moment about the performances of Anthony Martial, which you are going to look at from this game in particular.
Well, I can understand why. I mean, only 4 league goals this season, not enough movement. He's certainly not desperate enough to score goals. I mean, when you look at his position here, he spends far too much time in these positions here when they need someone in the box in that area. And there's not once does he look to get anywhere near in that box where he's going to score goals. His movement should have been in here. Look, and this one here, the ball goes out wide, a good position, jog, and there's not once until the goalkeeper actually gets hold of the ball, then he sprints. He should be getting into that area, trying to get across the front post, in between the 2 centre-halves. Look, then all of a sudden, when the keeper gets it in his hands, he sprints. Now, have a look at this. No one in the box again. Have a look at his position. Yes, that's him out on that left-hand side. And to spending too much time out there, there's no focal point, no one in there, I don't think, to hold the ball up. Same thing again. Look, you got 4 or 5 players in that area. That's enough. Now he should realise, get out of there and get into the box. And as I said, I don't think it means enough to him to go and put that ball into the back of the net. And he's only ever scored more than 20 goals in a season, and that's not all league goals.
That's all competition.
And when you consider Man United are top scorers in the Premier League this season with 53, and he's got 4. I don't think that's anywhere near enough.
He's got the number 9 shirt on of Manchester United. He should be stuck in between them 2 centre-halves and he shouldn't move. The rest of the side should be getting crosses in for him to score goals, but he's not there.
Well, apparently he's the one that says he wants to play centre-forward.
Yeah.
He deserves to be in there. Well, his numbers, I think, have to be a lot better if he wants to play in that position.
He's been used cutting in from the left quite a lot. As you say, you know, he has said he wants to play down the middle. He did that a lot last season. He's done that a lot this season. So Is it a lack of experience playing through the middle, or is it desire?
You can't say lack of experience. What is he, 25 years of age now? And this is his 6th season at Manchester United, so I wouldn't say lack of experience is a problem at all. I would say it's his lack of hunger and his lack of desire to get in there and constantly score the goals that you need to.
I think Martial, he
had a good season in terms of numbers last season, but you've got to do that on a regular basis, particularly when Man United are scoring as many as they are.
He has got the talent. I personally don't think he's a centre forward. I don't think he's an out-and-out centre forward. As an out-and-out centre forward, you have to bring the ball into play. You've got to be willing to get kicked. You've got to get your team up the pitch. That's the first thing you've got to do. And I haven't seen him do that. Talented footballer, not a centre forward.
He spent so long talking about Martial, he's desperately trying not to talk about Newcastle.
No.
They're still tight. Steve Bruce is right. They were OK for an hour, weren't they?
Yeah.
They threatened every now and then, and they were probably the better side in the first half.
I think they were the better side in the first half. They pressed well. They showed a good attitude, and getting the goal back, they certainly deserved that. And then again for 10 or 15 minutes of the second half, but then they looked so tired after that Man United were the better team and deserved to win it. But
you worry about the goal threat, don't you?
Yeah.
I know St Maximin scored, but you worry about the goal threat.
They're missing their best player and their goal threat in Callum Wilson, because not only does he stretch teams, he's the one that poses a threat in and around the 6-yard box, but the next 4 or 5 games on Newcastle's season, particularly with the form that Fulham are in.
Wolves, West Brom, you've got it in front of you.
Villa, Brighton and Spurs,
yeah. So that's going to be
confident. He says he's convinced. They're 25 points to Fulham's 22 at the moment. Brighton are on 26. They play tomorrow. Wolves at home next, then a trip to West Brom, and then as Newcastle also have to play Brighton and indeed Burnley in their next 6 fixtures. But after the Palace game, look what Fulham have got: Spurs, Liverpool, City, and then Leeds. Steve Bruce is convinced Newcastle will stay up. Are you, Righty?
I'm not convinced, especially with the omission of Callum Wilson at the moment. Yes, you can see St Maximin will create stuff and they'll cause problems, but they do need to do a lot more than that. What I've seen off of Fulham look, they're playing a brand of football and they're winning games where you see if they could dig out a couple more of those, then yeah. But you've seen their next few games; they're going to be very, very tough. So, just off of the back of the result, like the fixtures I've seen Fulham have, you have to say, yeah, it might be tough for them now, but Newcastle, without Callum Wilson, I still feel like they're going to majorly struggle. I'm not convinced. Not convinced at all.
No, the next run of games, Newcastle's are very favourable, aren't they? They should be getting some points out of those. Fulham's are much more difficult, but then again, Fulham are in much better form. They've got a buzz about them. They've got momentum. And they've got a lot of teams above them looking over their shoulder, as Steve Bruce said. So, a few weeks ago I thought, we're getting to a stage already where it looks like Man City are going to win it. The bottom 3 are going to be the bottom 3 and we're going to be playing for Champions League places. All of a sudden now, over the last couple of weeks, I'm thinking we might have a relegation scrap on our hands, and we certainly have.
Those 7 points from 9, they say a week's a long time in football. It's been an incredible week for Fulham.
Unbelievable week for Fulham. And whatever Steve Bruce says, and he'll be a bit disappointed. And this is why you look at some of those decisions and it does cost you. You feel it can change. It changes the course of games, some of these decisions, what are made against teams. I personally feel that Lascelles was a penalty. You don't know what would happen. It's going to, we know what Man United could be like if you score another goal or score that goal, then they score, make it 2. They get jittery. You never know. That point could be very important for them. But you look at, like Michael said, Fulham's playing some good stuff, but they've got some tough teams to come. Newcastle haven't got Callum Wilson, like I've said, and they need every point they can get. And it's going to be tough now for me, I think.
Yeah, 8 defeats in 10. Is it just these two? I mean, we've put their fixtures up. Do you think Brighton, Burnley will be okay? Well, are they in this conversation, or
they're in the conversation? Definitely. Yeah, they're looking over their shoulder. I mean, I would suggest that even Crystal Palace have only got 1 or 2 points more than. Well,
Brighton go level on points with Palace if they win tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think there'll be 5 or 6 teams above Fulham that are all looking over their shoulder. Do I think that those types of teams? I think Burnley will survive. I think Brighton will probably survive, but
they've had a Fulham-like run, haven't they? Themselves?
Exactly. Yeah, they're doing all right. I think it'll probably be between Fulham and Newcastle.
There's no way Newcastle might look looked at that Fulham result and not felt, oh my gosh, no way they didn't do that. They're looking at them. They're scared.
And the stat that you mentioned earlier, Steve, about the team, and Almiron's the only player that scored more than 1 goal.
In the starting 11,
I mean, that is a worry. That is a
massive worry.
You have to be able to score goals if you've got any chance. And with their main man out, as Righty said, Callum Wilson, relying on...
So Maximum, who scored today.
I wouldn't like to rely on
over-reliance,
let alone anyone else that's scored.